Alright folks, Jason here from Blue Label Bastards Wargaming, and as I mentioned in a recent hobby update ramble, I'm going to be transitioning a bit away from Games Workshop games and starting to look at two different game options from Warlord Games. I wanted to try historicals, so I'm going to be doing both Bolt Action and Hail Caesar. Hail Caesar is ancient battles, and Bolt Action is World War II. And I have a tendency to ramble on, so what I'm going to try to do is create a series of videos that are a bit shorter, and I can get them out faster, and just kind of get in the habit of knocking these things out, because I want to update my channel some a little bit more quickly and be a little bit more diligent about it. So like I said, video per week, at least one video per week on Bolt Action and Hail Caesar. I'm going to start tonight with Hail Caesar, because I think this one may be the toughest one to get into, and it's also the thing I want to talk about tonight is pretty easy to unpack and discuss, at least at the offset. So when most people look at starting a new war game, if they don't know a lot about it, they will start with a starter set. And Warlord Games kindly put one out, and this is the first thing that I bought for their game. It's called The Conquest of Gaul. And as the rather nice picture, once we get a focus here, is their starter set for Hail Caesar. You can see at the bottom, fierce Celtic tribes clash with invading Roman legions in this Hail Caesar starter set. Now, I'll talk maybe later about my friendly local gaming store, but I want to support them. So just so people know, this set from my FLGS came to $112, and this is what it includes. Focus. Maybe. Sorry about this, folks. There we go. So, the Conquest of Gaul includes the rule book, and this is the only rule book they have for Hail Caesar right now, and I'm going to unpack the box here, and we'll go through some of the contents. And 94 miniatures. They're all, Hail Caesar is all 28mm, though you can play with other rules. So you get 30 Imperial Roman legionaries, Roman Scorpion Catapult. It's more of a ballista, but okay. And then 60 Celtic warriors. And so that's what comes in the box. And before I open it, I want to talk a little bit about what my experience has been with starter sets, what I think starter sets should be, and then we'll kind of compare and contrast maybe a little bit about where I think Warlord does well and where I think Warlord can maybe use a little bit of work. So here's the box, $112, 94 miniatures. That's not a bad price, especially if you look at it in comparison with something like Games Workshop. So we're going to open the box. I have looked at this before, but so the first thing you see is the rule book. And the rule book only comes in hardback, as far as I know. And it's a very nice rule book. So, and this goes through all the different armies you have. And I'll do a separate review of this when I go through the rules a little bit more. But it's a very well-produced rule book. It's, I would say, on par with Games Workshop. Some other rule books are a bit less quality there. But this is very nice. I'm not necessarily a fan of giant hard copy rule books. I wish they would make a paperback one like the Warhammer Fantasy or Warhammer 40k rules that you can just kind of take with you. But this isn't too bad, considering it's probably more of a niche market than is Bolt Action or other things. And then most starter sets will come with a basic set of rules and like a scenario you can play or something like that, or in the case of Games Workshop, you'll have dice and the whip stick things. You don't get that here, but what you get is a starter set, or kind of a readout, and you know, they have a nice review, and you get a little bit on the rules here. So I'm not sure why they really included this, because you can get this out of the rule book, but they do go through and talk about some of the special rules the legionaries have, and then the Celts down here. So essentially what you have is elements of a cohort for the Romans. You have 30 models, and then either a giant warband for the Celts, or you could get two smaller ones. And then on the back, they talk about the rules and where to next, and then a whole bunch of things you can buy, some of which I already have. And it's basically like a sales brochure. What's nice down here, though, I will say is, if you have any questions, email them here. And I know from being on their forums, they're actually really responsive to rules questions. So that's nice, and that's a change from Games Workshop. And then what the rule set includes, you just flip this little piece off. And you've got 2 different stacks of sprues, and these are all plastic. And so I'll do a separate modeling review. But, come on. Maybe. Can I do this manually? It's probably going to give up even more. I'm not sure why this isn't auto-focusing. Let's see if I can give it a shot here. There we go. Let's see, folks. I'll get better at this. So this is like the sprue for the Scorpion. Comes together pretty well. It looks like it'll come together pretty well. You got your 2 crew here. And then it's just a lot of duplication. I have taken some off the sprue to take a look at them, but then you just get different. Again, I'm gonna try. Sorry about that, folks. I hit the wrong button. So what we're gonna do here is, this is just some of the sprues, and they're pretty good quality. I think here's the pieces for some of the command group. You got a musician, standard bear. They're called different things. There's the standard and then the commander. And they're just duplicates of mostly the same. Like here's a complete one. Fronts and backs of the shields. They are posed differently enough. I mean, these do kind of rank up like Warhammer Fantasy, if you can imagine that. But the sculpts are pretty good. Maybe not Games Workshop good, but pretty darn close. And so you're just getting duplicates of the same thing that you can pose differently and things. So there's enough there. Here is, let's see if I can get this without shutting off my, come on. How many of you have YouTube channels and get frustrated by this just like I do? I'm also borrowing my wife's camera to do this. This isn't showing up that well. Sorry, folks. Okay, it's just not going to happen. Ladies and gents, probably mostly gents. So I'll do take some separate photos of this, or you can go on the website. But what this allows you to do is, so you got the 30 unit regiment. These, and they all have standalone bases, so you can just stand them up if you want to. But most times these guys go on bases. So there is the 30 models, and then you just get duplicates for the 60. How do people use their hands to do this? To get things to focus. Okay, that's not too bad. Hey, there we go. I'm going to learn this. And so this is the war band, and these guys obviously are a little less regimented and are intended to look more like skirmishers than an organized fighting force. But that's these are their models. Now I may not put together, I may just put together one of the Celts and just to show you, but I'm going to be building a Roman force. There's that, and you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 stacks, identical ones, but you can pose them differently, but obviously there's 10 models on a stack. And aside from that, that's all you get. And I have to say, when I saw that, I was a little disappointed, and let me talk about why. If I can find, so we're going to put the box back on here. So the models look great. The models themselves look great. The rule set is fine. I think with a starter set, it should come with more stuff. Although maybe they're assuming that most people will come from another game system, will have dice and measuring tapes, and that's fine. But if you look, all right, let's look at this. See if I can get this without shutting off my. Okay, so here's a picture of what you can set up your army to look like and what it fights. So here you can see, and maybe I'll even try to zoom in a little bit. You can get, and if you just buy the army boxes separately, see these decals on each of the shields, and even on the Celts, they've got painting here. The box sets come with decals. The starter set does not, and I think that's pretty poor form by Warlord Games. If I did have one gripe, one main gripe, that would be it. If you're going to sell something that shows up like this on the picture, I think you should include everything that's in there. Otherwise, it's a bit of false advertising, I think. The other thing this doesn't come with is bases. Now, bases in historicals are a bit different than basing in Warhammer Fantasy, which is what most people will be familiar with. They might be coming into this gaming system. In that you can do larger base sizes. Heck, you can base your regiments all in one giant base, because in Hail Caesar, you don't remove models as casualties. You just keep track of the casualties that the unit suffers, and once it reaches a certain number, you remove it as a whole. So they're almost there for show. I'll talk about this a little bit more when I get in the rule system. What that does is that allows for a lot of flexibility in how you want to base. You'll see a lot of historical wargamers put like 4 or 6 models on a base, or 2 models on a base, and then have, like, essentially they make change so that when they reform a unit, they can move pieces around a little bit more easily. I get that, but again, if you want to offer somebody a starter force, you should have everything, in my opinion, you should have everything in the box that you need to play the game, including bases, but particularly decals. The decals, I think, are just, it's not right to include those. Now, part of that might be that the numbers that they're giving here are a little bit off from their standard boxes, although not really totally. So let's go through the price point, because this will, I think, counterbalance some of my complaints, although not entirely. So like I said, this box, $112. Buying all this stuff separately, so it comes with 30 Legionaries with command. So a box of 30 Legionaries from Warlord, and I just looked at the Warlord site, is $27. But with those $27, or with those, they include the decals, and I think they might, no, I don't think they include bases, but they do include decals. So that's $27. The Scorpion, the Ballista, is actually not up for sale right now, so I did have to go into Amazon for that, but according to Amazon, Warlord Games sells a Scorpion on Amazon for $27 too. So for the Roman force, you're looking at $54. The Celts, this is where it gets a little bit weird, and this might be partially explained why they don't put decals in the force, but I don't think so. I think that doesn't justify including or not including them. So this box includes 60 warriors. So you can buy a box of 40 warriors for $35. So okay, that's 35, and then half of that again would get you to 60. So it's 17 plus 35. That's $52 for the total 60 warriors, but without the decals, I think, are what it takes to make these guys look really cool. So 52 plus 54 is 106, if I do my math right. And then the rule book on the website, hardback book, very nice, is $48. So in total, if you want to buy all this stuff separately, it would be $152. This sells for $112, so that's a savings of roughly $40. Does it make up for the decals? Yes, because you can buy the decals. I mean, from a price point, it does, because I think the decals run about $5 a sheet, and that's enough to, I think I had to buy 3 sheets. So that's like $15 or so right now. Warlord is having a special where it's free shipping. So that brings your savings. You're still saving about $20 or $30. And then you have to buy your bases separately or base them however you want. I am going to use Shogun magnetized bases, and I'll do a review of those later. So my final thoughts on the starter set, and I will put the models up later as I start the modeling part of this vlog. Is the starter set a deal? Yes. Price point wise, it is. You do save money from buying all the boxes separately. Does it offer you anything? Do I think it meets the requirements for being a starter set? It certainly gives you a place to start your army, but I think that being most familiar with Games Workshop and some others, when I view a starter set, I see this as a place where a new person right off the street could come in and start this hobby. This isn't the way it's set up. Now, Warlord may come and say, this isn't a starter set, this is a scenario kind of set. It's not intended for the new person to enter the hobby. If that's the case, I think Warlord is doing themselves a disservice. I mean, Hail Caesar isn't going to be as popular as some of their other games, particularly Bolt Action. Still, I think you'd get more people in if you had a full-up starter set like the Isle of Blood for Warhammer Fantasy or whatever the new 40k one is. If you want to bring younger people in. Now, they could have done the market analysis, which is much more sophisticated than anything I could have done, and said, our key demographic are dudes, probably, but people that already do a lot of gaming, and this is something that they don't need all those things you're complaining about, Jason. That's fine. I get that. This sort of set is still a good place to start. You can get this with your buddy and have one person would be the Celts and one person would do the Romans. That's fine. The bases I am even flexible on, but I do think that the decals are an issue that Warlords should address and just throw them in there. I don't think it costs them that much. And maybe there's a chance that I got a bad box and they should have been in there. I looked on their website. I don't think that's the case. So if I'm wrong on this and people watch this video and they want to comment and say, I got decals, Jason, you're full of crap, that's fine. They didn't come in mind. And looking at the website and what they described, they're not included there either. So would I recommend getting the Conquest of Gaul for somebody who's just starting? Yes, because you get the rule book, and for the financial reasons that they lay out, it's an okay starter set. It's an okay place to start. Would I recommend getting this if you already knew what you wanted to do and you were doing, you know, a different kind of army? Is this like the easiest entry point into Hail Caesar? No, you could go out and buy the rule book, and if you go on the website, you will find a bunch of other armies. So unless you want to do early Romans, early Imperial Romans, or Gallic Celts, or you're looking to save a few bucks on the models, this is a place to go. Otherwise, I might think about going elsewhere. My opinion may change, but that's my reaction now. The models are great, look great so far. What I'm going to do next is start on the Romans, model them up, and I may even just do a paint, just a before and after with the painting. But my next video, I think, is going to be on the modeling side, will be about putting my first regiment together. I've already got some others. I also want to talk a little bit about some of the resources you can look at when you start a historical force, at least the ones that I've used so far that I think are really helpful. So I hope you enjoy the video. Again, like, rate, and subscribe. I'd welcome any feedback you have. If you're already a Warlord Games player, or if you're looking to do something like I am and just get into this force or this system, I would welcome any feedback, positive or negative. Hopefully positive. So with that, I'm going to let you guys go on a Friday night. Hope you have a great weekend, and we will talk to you soon. Keep on wargaming.